Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. We've got a cheeky wee 7 out of 9 points, a win at the weekend to celebrate. You and how we getting on?
I'm really good, mate. It's been a good week for Hibs. Good weekend. You are right with what you say. Like it does, Hibs winning on a Saturday certainly helps with the rest of the weekend. I think it's probably just worthwhile noting for folk that are on YouTube that we haven't coordinated tonight, and it is actually still a Hibs podcast because I've got, I don't know, like an Auburny t-shirt on, and you've got a sort of bright red t-shirt on. So I mean, if we were to just sit, do you want to just sit and talk about this in an Aberdeen game? Because I think we could probably do that for an hour, and I think it would be the most entertaining thing we've ever produced.
Honestly, I was going to mention what an absolute riot of football in Scotland this weekend, like especially in the top flight. Absolute nonsense going on. Like Hibs were the only normal game for a change. Like it went
Yeah,
to plan
I
what
was
everybody
thinking that
expected and
earlier.
across the board. What?
I know, I was thinking that earlier. Like the Kelly Dundee game, yeah, you maybe would have expected it to be a draw, but you wouldn't have expected it to go the way it did in terms of the obviously the red card and the late equaliser. You would never sort of expect Celtic and Rangers to get beat, especially Celtic the following day when you would expect them to kick on, and even the St Johnstone Livingston game, I think St Johnstone equalised pretty late on as well. But that game, I mean, the contents to that game, I don't know if it kicked off late or not, but I got out the East Stand and to Meadowbank and into my car before that game had even finished. Now,
It was like
I sit
100 minutes. I
towards
think it
the
went on for.
yeah, like so I sit towards the back of the East Stand. So you're talking at least 15 minutes per half the time after full time whistle before I'm even at the stand. So like I don't know what happened there because we never kicked off on time either. We kicked off at the back of three. So yeah, absolutely irrelevant. But yeah, Hibs had a nice, comfortable, routine 2-0 victory that I think we'd all been waiting for.
No, definitely. I think I can't. I either said 2 or 3 nil on the pod last week. I can't. I'm not going back to check. If you're interested, go and do that. But just before we dive into the game, a couple things we wanted to mention. I'll kick off. The season tickets. I
Hmm.
actually got myself mine sorted today, so I'm on board for mainland Europe. But I'll still come when I come. And season tickets are available early bird, so you do typically get a good 20 to 30 pound extra off if you get it. I think it's before the end of April. Um,
May, I think it was start of
was
May.
it me? Oh,
I
nice.
think I think it said end of March for seat release, and then I want to say early May for early bird. I think it was.
Awesome. So yeah, please join the Hibs train. We seem to be spending a lot of money based off January, so hopefully some exciting
Yeah.
times ahead. And then speaking of tickets, a ticket drive that we've kicked off. Do you want to talk about the initiative that we're working on with Hibs Ramble and Long Bangers?
Yeah, so I think firstly all the credit should go to the guys at the Ramble. They reached out to ourselves and to Long Bangers to see if we'd be sort of interested in trying to like work with them to do a sort of ticket drive to try and get those that are less fortunate than I guess ourselves to be able to go to the games at Easter Road. And what that's going to look like in practice yet, maybe we're not 100% sure, but I think we'll be looking to try and do raffles and different giveaways and all that. And Liam and the rest of the guys over at the Ramble have um done a lot of work with it already. There's a Just Giving, I think it's Just Giving page that they've, or a GoFundMe that they've already set up, and I believe they've been in contact with the community foundation, who obviously have their own sort of thing going on already as well. So, no, it should be a really good cause, and I would just say to everyone to just sort of keep an eye on the podcast sort of social channels, be that ourselves, Ramble, Long Bangers, and hopefully there's some cool prizes and stuff to be won to aid what ultimately is a good cause to try and get as many people to Easter Road. Like you said, it's an expensive sport these days, and not everyone's in a position um, that we are, and can that are we're lucky enough to be able to afford season tickets and stuff. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that, and we'll be quite vocal with it, I think.
We'll even be helpful if you're watching on YouTube with the cheeky wee description below, right below our faces. We'll put down the link for the Just Giving that's got a bit more of an explanation on it there.
As you're
If
putting
you're
an
listening on a streaming
expectation,
service,
I just want
um,
to. I'll just apologise in advance to everyone when I forget to do that when I'm.
Ewan's go for uploading tonight. So if it's not there, blame him. I'll jump in later and do it. But yeah, so positive stuff going off going on off the field, but let's crack on with the game itself. Similar to the last couple of weeks, let's kick off with the goals and then we can kind of break down the game from there. Because the first half I definitely don't want to speak too much about because Jesus, that was bad. But yeah, first opening goal, it came from really nice. I can't actually remember who popped the ball down the wing to Venti, but Venti worked the ball well, took his man on, then
It was
just
Levitt.
blasted it across the box, and then what's the goalie doing, Tom?
Oh,
Absolutely fumbles it directly to Maolida, and in fairness to him, good instinct, stabs the ball in the back of the net. 1-0
yeah.
Cabbage.
Aye, he does well to react first. There's defender there, goalkeeper there. Their goalkeeper is I don't understand why they're playing him. I know he made a lot of saves at Ibrox, but he's still conceded. He's conceded some really dodgy goals, and I think they've got a more than capable goalkeeper on the bench in Ross Laidlaw. They're in a relegation battle and they're playing a young lone goalkeeper. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it was certainly to Hibs benefiting on Saturday. It should have led to a goal in the first half. I think at the game I thought maybe he'd made a miraculous save, but I think Emiliano somehow managed to hit it against him, having seen it back. But really suspect, but really good play from Hibs. It started with Dylan Levitt sort of pirouetting on the ball,
Oh,
sort of
that
in
was
the middle in the
a
middle of the park, on the east touchline, and then I think he played a pass, probably I'm guessing into Jono, and then it was worked out wide. I don't think Levitt himself made the pass. Could be doing him a disservice there, but Dylan Levitt played a massive part, obviously, in both goals. And then I'll just go into it now. Obviously, scored the sort of decisive second goal that ensured there was no squeaky bum time in the last 5 to 10 minutes if you include the injury time. Really good goal, sort of as Ross County had put numbers forward. Harry Levitt starts it, finds Ellie Yuan and continues his run. Ellie gets criticised all the time for not playing the right pass at the right time. I think probably people on the ground were criticising him as well for not playing Chris Cadden in. That was the obvious ball you'd think, but a really good finish. What did you make of Dylan Levitt actually? Just and he obviously came on at half time for Mariah Welsh, which maybe raised a few eyebrows.
Yeah, no, I think the decision to bring him on for Mariah Welsh, I think was right. I think there was a couple of players in the first half that were tired, and I think a few players even in the second half were looking a
Hmm.
bit knackered. But personally, I thought Levitt had a really good game. He had one absolute nightmare pass that I thought was going to topple his
Well,
whole
it was
performance,
two, wasn't
but
it? In the space of like
uh,
10 seconds, like.
it was brain dead, and it literally led to Ross County's first attack of the game. And I was like, please let Dylan let's pick it up for here. And like the types of things, I know it's small, but see that like pirouette that I call it Zidane turn, but that Zidane turn, it just seemed to turn around the whole like atmosphere of the stadium. Like one small
Yeah.
thing that uplifts the fans because everybody was on their feet, like, come on, after that. And then from there, I thought he had probably his best half-hour period in a Hibs top so far. I thought he looked
Um,
really strong for the rest of the game after that, to be honest.
oh well, you like to go back to tell me how I was wrong and stuff, and I think he
Well,
was.
maybe not Luzerne, to be fair.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say I think he was probably still better against Luzerne than he was, especially when you factor in probably the quality of opposition. But no, had a good game. I don't think it's any. I think he got even better probably after Triantes came on. Obviously, that's when it led to his goal, and I think that's both his goals now he's scored when he's sort of been the more further forward of the three in midfield. I want to say by the time he scored against Celtic, um, I'm trying to think. Was Jago playing? Was Jago still here then? Like I think
don't
he
want to
might.
bash him, but I've removed that from my mind, Jim.
Yeah, no, I might be wrong, but I think he was playing as the further forward of a three in midfield at that point. And obviously that he's now scored two goals. It's good to see though because I think, looking at his Hibs career, he probably scored his first goal against Celtic in his worst game,
Yeah,
and
I
it
think
was
that's fair.
ultimately the performance that has led to him not starting games since then. And he got a bit of a cameo at Tynecastle, and he has come off the bench, but so I was going to say yesterday, on Saturday, it was probably his first substantial minutes since that game in terms of having 45 minutes. I don't think it's enough for him to come into the team next weekend. But if he is playing with that little bit of confidence and he is going to be utilised a little bit further forward in the pitch, then he's an incredibly strong option to have off the bench.
And not want to poke holes in him, but there was obviously the glaring not tracking back with his man that again shows why we probably want him a bit further up the pitch because that was yeah. Um,
I just don't think he actually, you know, people will be rolling their eyes none more so than Liam, right? But we're both fans of the gridiron, right? And it's been the NFL Combine the last week or so. If you put all the central midfielders in Scotland, I think Dylan Levitt would probably rank last in like the 40-yard dash. I
yeah,
think he'd be up there. Like I don't, I don't think I've ever questioned his desire to try and track back. Even in, yeah, I think the most sort of visually bad one would have been Aberdeen in the semi-final. I think he is trying to get back all the time, and there was definitely an example of it at the weekend. I just don't think he's got the legs to do it. Like I do think that the majority of central midfielders in this league are stronger and more powerful and faster than him, which obviously visually looks bad. If someone's sort of, you start side by side and by the time they get the bots, they're 10 yards ahead of you. But I agree. I think, yeah, you want them you probably, I was going to say you want him as far away from your goal as possible. I think that's wrong. I think you want him as close to the opposition's goal as possible. He is capable of playing good passes. He is capable of little turns, like you say, that Zidane turn, McGeady spin. I think that's what it got christened on FIFA, didn't it? But I think
mhm.
Zinedine Zidane maybe trademarked it a little bit before Aidan McGeady did. But yeah, Dylan Levitt is more than capable. But I think Liam summed it well in the group chat. It's just unfortunate for him that Emiliano's just better. Like that. That and that's not a bad thing. If you have a better option than Dylan Levitt in your team, then I think you're on the right tracks.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well is like it's the same thing I've said about Yuan and Maulida. Like I think these players just need to try and learn from the players that are available. Like
Hmm.
if I'm Dylan Levitt, I'm just trying to soak in as much of what Marcondes does and the way he kind of conducts himself across the pitch as possible. And one
Yeah.
other point on Levitt I wanted to make as well is sorry if you hate the horrible comparison, but you and Henderson I always thought was like a very confidence driven player. I feel that when he
Yeah.
was high on confidence, he'd string together a couple of his better performances, but as soon as he had a bad game, he would just plummet. And I think that Levitt I just think that because he's got the confidence of scoring a couple of goals, I think the next couple of times we'll see him, he'll be trying a bit more, like a few more flicks, a few more ambitious passes and stuff.
Yeah.
Just because for me, like from what I've seen from his Dundee United time as well, when the team was looking good, Dylan Levitt played really well, and then as soon as the team started hitting the relegation patch, Dylan Levitt did not do a great job. So yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully he's on the up and up. That's
No, I
definitely
think I
fingers crossed
think
for
I
that.
think you're right, Harry, and I think he's a better player than you and Henderson. I think anyone would think that, but I think it is a valid comparison. I think what you've got to remember as well, he's still a fairly young player. He turned 23 in November. Now, maybe in football in terms that's not young anymore. I don't know, but he's not got 100 career games under his wing. Or he might in all sort of all competitions potentially, but league games he doesn't. Some of the and before he came to Dundee United, he'd never really kicked a ball in anger in terms of in first team football, and he was also involved in a Dundee United team last season that got relegated. He's come into a Hibs team that aren't having their strongest season, so as a younger player, I would suggest that would be harder to excel in. You don't have the catalogue of 100, 200, 300 games to fall back on that, this is what I can do. I can pull teams out of this scenarios. And I mean, I've been as guilty as anyone probably of. I don't think I've wrote him off at any time this season, but I have been critical. But that definitely comes from having high expectations of him. But he is a young player still, and whether that's age or experience, like he in a similar vein to Rocky, perhaps when Rocky signed that Rocky age profile, maybe not a young player, but in terms of games played, very inexperienced. And I think over the next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, I would expect Dylan Levitt to just improve. The more games he plays, ultimately.
Hey, and let's move on slightly
Hmm.
from Mr. Lev and give me another couple of players and just talk about who you think was good. When we win games, we're going to have to big up the players as much as possible. Give me two people that you thought were some of the shining lights from the game.
Yeah, so you've asked me to leave you one of two players available now.
Because I think there's two obvious ones, if I'm
But
being
I
honest, that
think
had
I
good
think I think I
performances.
think I think the two in question are obviously Rocky and Newell. And I think what I would say, Harry, is they were the two standouts. And I don't think anyone else probably.
Well, talk to me about before. I've got one more I
Okay,
can shout
well,
as well because we
well,
gave
so
Levitt quite a few flowers there.
well, I don't particularly. I think Obita was probably good. Do you know what? The whole back four was good, but I'll let you. Do you know what? You go first because I would settle on they too. So you go for your rogue shout there.
Cool. I don't know if it's a rogue shout, but I was going to say I think that certain Mr. David Marshall. I
Mm,
think that good goalkeepers can be like the reason that you don't really give the top elite goalkeepers as much credit as you should sometimes is because they only make saves like they make saves when they have to make saves. And I think
yeah.
there's two that Marshall made in the game that were actually really big saves in the grand scheme of things, especially the one that the cutback we were talking
Oh,
about earlier
massive,
to
yeah.
Brophy. Massive save that the amount of times this season at Easter Road we've conceded a goal and capitulated if Marshall's not on the ball and there to save that. And I think I didn't notice the distribution. So in my opinion, that means that it's been a bit better than it has been at certain times this season. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
think there
just
was.
just thought
I think there was one kick where I think Colin and Longbangers in the sort of group chat that we're in, he might have described it as like a perfect sort of rugby kick. I think he's kicked it for like, and it's just like it's landed like right in their bottom sort of like in like the bottom 5 yards in the corner. But that was more because of Abita was in a position where you probably thought he could challenge for it, but he was sort of going back to the fullback position more naturally. But no, I
he
thought
also done
Marshall.
one of those he done one of those scuff passes where a player was closing him down and he tried to boot it as far as possible and it went straight to Newell who was free in the middle of the pitch and he gave him a nod as if he meant it. I was like, I like that, Davey. I like
Yeah.
that.
No, it was two good saves. Obviously, the first one and 0-0 you expect him to make. The one at 1-0 is a very good save. It's a reaction save, and I mean, I'm of the opinion that David Marshall's been good since the new goalkeeping coach came in. I think that's fair. I think he's cut out the majority of his mistakes. I think he's making more saves than he's not. I can't think of too many shots that have went in that I think he really should have done better with. He got some criticism in Aberdeen, which I thought was unwarranted. Some people criticised him for the goal Dundee scored. I don't know. I think it's a good strike. It's went through bodies. Like again, I think he's been a good player for Hibs over the last 3 to 4 months. But massive at the weekend. Like I spoke about it being a comfortable afternoon, but if Brophy equalises in it, like, truth be told, it'll be anything but that because Hibs weren't excellent at the weekend. We were better against Dundee, we were better against Hearts, and I think it's probably understandable when you name the same team for the third time in a week that there would be a little bit of a drop off. But had Ross County scored there, yeah, it would have been interesting and not in a good way for the
Yeah,
last sort of 20 minutes. So
but speaking about them not scoring, talk to me about Rocky Bashiri. He seems to have a new lease of life since coming back from the AFCON.
I think Rocky's been our best defender all season. I don't really think there's any, or at least centre back. I don't think there can be any debate about that. I think anyone that that would suggest otherwise is maybe hanging on to maybe one or two mistakes that he's made, or potentially even from seasons past. If you were to judge him purely on this season's form, then I think it's between him and Obita for Player of the Year. I would probably edge it to Obita in terms of consistency, but Hibs, as far as I'm concerned, have been a better team with Rocky Bashiri in the team this season. Um, and I don't think it's any coincidence that we've looked incredibly more strong in the 3 games at the back that he's played in since he came back. You look at the goals we conceded at Aberdeen, they were horrendous, like genuinely horrendous. He's playing on, I think what we would all agree is not his stronger side on the left hand side of the defence. But I don't think you notice that. I think he's became comfortable in that position on the park. Like he's still pretty effective, bringing the ball out. I don't see him as a weak link when we're trying to play out from the back any more so than, Will Fish is. I don't think it's either of their strong points, but I went the what when it comes to Rocky, and I suppose this isn't just about the Ross County game, Harry. I think see when he first signed, see when he got the ball, you probably were a bit like, "Fuck, he's going to lose it." Now I'm pretty relaxed with it. When he steps up into the middle of the park, or steps up with it a little bit, I trust him that he's going to find the right pass. Even when he does start to like go a bit deeper into the park with the ball, I feel like now instead of ending up in a 50-50 tackle. I think he is finding a shorter pass or whatever. And for me, he is putting himself into a position where, with his age, that he could be a mainstay in the Hibs defence for for years to come. If this improvement was to continue and at the age that he is, I don't necessarily think going into next season, if it was Rocky and someone else, that I would be that disappointed.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely spot on. I think one thing that people don't really give him recognition for as well that you really need in this league is his physicality. I think
Yeah.
the last few weeks especially, he's been the like focal point of the opposition attack. Like they've definitely been intentionally targeting Rocky with their attacks. Brophy couldn't do anything. White then gave it a shot, couldn't do anything. Last week we seen against Shanklin, they absolutely dominated him.
Totally.
Like he does really well in there. And like the thing is with Rocky, and I think it is just because he is so 100% no matter what he does. Like you can't question him on like getting his thoughts messed up. If he thinks he's doing the right thing, he's going for it
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah.
So like with the what you call it, with the Shanklin mistake, he literally just tried to attack the ball. Like he was like, I'm not letting this ball go because he tried to
Yeah.
header it and kick it at the same time, and that's the reason that he ended up making. So every time he makes a mistake, it's just an egregious mistake that you're like, that's so bad. So the reason that fans I think get on his back is because the mistakes you can point out, like all the Hearts fans will be like, "Oh, how have they still got this player?" And it's the time he like jumped under a header, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that looks really bad. But if you look at his overall game, 99% of the time, he's a really, really good player. Albeit that 1% or less, you're like, gee, that's bad. But
Hmm.
I fully agree. I think Rocky's definitely not got enough credit this season, and
Yeah.
yeah, he's been
Look, he's a
magic.
com he's a committed player, and I think there is a balancing act with that because well, how I don't want committed in the sense that James McPake was committed. James McPake had to make last ditch tackles left, right, and centre because he was finding himself in the wrong position. I don't think Rocky does that, but you are right to suggest that he throws himself fully at everything he does on the park. I was just having a quick look there. There is definitely improvements to be made in there. He's 55% aerial duels won. I think he can do. I think I would probably want my defender to be doing better than that. In the air.
Yeah, not to call yet. Have you got any like tangible of like what other centre backs
Um,
do? Because some of these numbers they definitely sound either really good or really
Give
bad,
just
but I
just
don't
just
actually know
just
what to
just
measure them
just
off.
just give me any centre back in the league, and I'll quickly tell you.
Go for Carter Vickers. Try him.
Okay,
So obviously he's
Cameron.
known
So
as
yeah,
like
yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
of
top
course. So
dogs.
Cameron
Yeah,
Carter Vickers. This is all competitions. His
yeah.
aerial duels won 71%.
Aye, so yeah, no,
So
a significant
yeah,
increase.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, age, number of games, understanding of the game, having someone at Rocky's age, which I probably should have looked at there when I knew I was going to talk about it. I don't think that is a bad place to be in. Like I really don't think having someone that's 24, 25 at the end of this year is a good category in terms of age profile, if you like. The one thing that Lee Johnson I thought made sense with was how he felt a squad should be set up in that sort of 4-8-8-4 mold. He would just be sort of transitioning from that first four into that second, sort of first lot of eight just now. He's getting games under his belt like Levitt, you would expect to just get better. You don't expect someone that's playing week in, week out and has proved that they are capable at the level to regress. You would at least you would forecast that he's going to improve. I don't think there's anything glaring in his game that you would suggest in 2 years he's going to be Scottish Championship level, if anything. I think in 2 years you could forecast that he would be one of the leading defenders in the league. In my opinion, if you look at the improvement you've seen since he first signed under Sean Maloney.
And then
Sorry.
no, I think we've given our man Bushiri enough gas there. So one final player to touch on, we've spoken to our wits end about how good he can be on his day. And I think John Yule, he just covers every play of grass. He's always really prevalent in
Yeah,
moves when the team's on form. I don't want to go into it too much just because I don't want us to have like a half-hour section just on
yeah, yeah,
County.
yeah.
But yeah, I thought John Yule just done another really strong performance at the weekend. He's strung pretty good week, to be fair, for the last three games.
I think the one thing I would say, I think you've been fairly critical of him in terms of saying, maybe he doesn't have his best games when the team aren't.
Yeah,
I thought in the first half anything good came through Jono.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
Anytime we moved the ball quicker, it was Jono doing it. Anytime we drove, it was Jono doing it. Yeah, no, captain's performance, comfortable with him being captain. He looks a hell of a lot more comfortable with Mariah Welsh beside him. Obviously, they're both sitting fairly deep just now in terms of that sort of with Marcondes in front of him, but he is thriving in that role, I think. Probably not contributing maybe as much in the final third as he had been at various points in the season, but I think when you watch his game, he looks just a lot more comfortable. The entire team looks comfortable in this setup, which is a nice feeling to have after the last couple months. You know, probably up as until as recently as what the St Mirren game, you were looking at the team and just it felt disjointed. It didn't really feel like there was a natural flow to it. Whereas just now you've got players in the right position, players that are performing, and we're getting results. It's 5 unbeaten just now. Um, in my opinion, I don't. I think we should be set with better finishing and with better officiating. We should be sitting here having won 6 games in a row, and I don't think that's what's the word. I don't think I'm unjust in suggesting that.
Yep.
But the fact is, it's 5 unbeaten, 2 draws in there, and we should be going into this weekend's game full of confidence.
Because the thing is, like, I know everybody says, "Oh, you should be beating teams," but historically we don't. But
No
we're
got
beating the
to it.
teams that we should be beating, and we're getting results against teams that, in theory, are
Yeah,
more difficult. So,
yeah,
yeah. But instead of getting your final thoughts now, we'll go through the listener questions. If there's anything you don't think we've covered, we can then talk about that then.
totally.
So, AKA Rab said, "I am very feel." So, I'm assuming that's a positive. So good for you, Rab.
I have to say, when I seen that come in, I thought I'd made a mistake on the tweet.
So, Rob, there you go. You caught you out. Andrew Brown sent in, "It may not have been fast, free flowing, but we won while not playing great. It's all about 3 points at this stage." I think that's really important if you look at it across the last few managers, apart from maybe Jack Ross. Most of the time when we're winning, we do typically dominate games under the
Mm,
last couple of managers, whereas it's nice to just have a win. And like, I didn't feel stressed. Like, I was at the game and I was like, this is a bit boring, but I didn't feel like we were going to concede. And then the second
yeah,
half started and we came out and I was like, this is fine. I
yeah.
don't mind
I,
it.
I don't think Hibs were good to fine, and we won 2-0. I never felt like Ross County were going to score. They had one chance that came on the counter, and you know, I think one player specifically, Martin Boyle, should have been tracking the runner. He was with him in the middle of the park. I was screaming at him for to go out and help Miller, who was 2-on-1. He didn't do that. He stayed in the middle of the pitch. Then I was screaming at him for not going with the player that he decided to stay in the middle of the pitch with. But look, you do have to ride your luck in games where you don't play well, or you rely on a good goalkeeper, which we've already touched on. But comfortable afternoon, mate. At the end of a hard week, you know, two games against teams that were above us in the league. You know, whether Hibs should be beating Dundee. Of course, we should be at home. Like, I don't no disrespect to anyone, but it's a game we should be winning. But ultimately, it was a must-win game, and we done that. We went to Tynecastle. You guys obviously done your debrief, but we should have battered them. Hibs played well. On another night, you win and you win it comfortably, and you follow that up with a workman-like but fairly comfortable 2-0 home win. Sign me up. You know what I mean? Like to give me that every week.
An interesting talking point you brought up there. Well, Kev Wilson said a first half that everyone should agree to forget ever happened. Agreed. Levitt changed the game in our favour. Man of the match performances from Rocky and Newell. Question: should Boyle be dropped? Not looked at last few games.
I'm going to say no because there will be a week of rest and recovery and training because I think he played well against Dundee. I don't think he had his best game at Tynecastle. I don't think he had a I don't think he was great against Ross County. So perhaps, and I mean, you know, it's Martin Boyle, so I'm saying no. Maybe he should be, but given his age and the fact that he is in his first season back and sort of from another bad injury, he just played a lot of games at the Asian Cup. I think if other players are getting the benefit of being tired, because if yeah, I'm putting the first half performance down to tiredness at the weekend, but if you were dropping players on their performance from Saturday, then you would be dropping Marcondes, which would be stupid. You know what I mean? Like
I think you'd have to find a way to drop Mariah Welsh as well. That's the first
exactly,
one that's had that
exactly,
I
exactly.
wouldn't
So
say was pass
I'm not, I'm
marked.
not, I'm not saying that Kev's wrong. And do
Yeah.
you know what? If there is any position in the team right now, then that probably is it, because you have Yuan waiting in the wings to come in, who is no worse, if not better than him. So, if the manager done it, then absolutely no issues with it. But I don't think I would.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat as you. I've kind of been on the Martin Boyle hype train the last couple of weeks, and obviously he done his Martin Boyle magic to cause the goal at Tynecastle. So I think that I'm putting it down to fatigue as well. But Jeff Ashton did send in everything was one paced first half, but still should have been in front. Maybe a reaction to the exertions at Tiny, as we've touched on. Second half much better, and Levitt made a huge difference. Interesting to see the lineup for the Huns game. For me, Nathan Mariah Welsh keeps his place. So we'll save that particular question for when we discuss the Rangers game. But yeah, no, just to acknowledge the point. I personally think that the reason that we had 3 or 4 lackluster performances in that first half was just down to fatigue, as you say. It's try to squeeze out 270
Yeah.
minutes from people in the space of 7 days is a lot. Like I know the professional footballers and people say, oh, they should be able to play every 3 or 4 days, but it's just you just never see it, even at the top level.
It was an intense game on the Wednesday night as well. It's not like you're
Aye.
talking about playing Dundee and then going to Livingston. Like you are going to the derby with everything that comes along with that. It's emotionally draining, I would imagine, for the players as much as anything. God, I woke up on Thursday and I was exhausted, and I just watched the game. You know what I mean? Like it does take a lot out of you, and I would imagine as a player that's participating in that, and maybe you could look at the manager and say, "Oh, maybe you should have made some changes," but the team's performing well, and we have options on the bench now. We could have made, in my opinion, 5 subs at the weekend and not looked like a weaker side. I think you can bring Lafondra on, you can bring Yuan on. Triantes, to be fair, I know I've been critical of him, but I do think he's comfortable enough in the middle of the park. It's not that I've been critical of him as a player, it's the fact that I don't think the subs at the time have been the right subs. Chris Cadden coming on for Lewis Miller, you're not any weaker. Like I think that's 4 subs, not 5, but you know what I mean. Like bring fucking Paul Hanlon on for Will Fish, and you're not, there's your 5th one. Like we have a good squad just now. Dylan Levitt, there's your 5th one. Like I mentioned, Dylan Levitt. But so I would go with the same 11, but be happy enough in the knowledge that you could see 2 subs at halftime. If you need it, and ultimately we are in a position now where we have the squad in a reasonable bit of health, and you're seeing the benefits of
Yeah, definitely. And we've not got half the squad missing for different international
that.
tournaments as well, which is great. GGTTH sent in, I think this is an interesting point. He said Jono's performance yesterday and against Hearts thought he was one of the best players in the park because we don't need to be relying on him anymore. So that kind of gives him the space to be back at his best, which we kind of touched on as well. When he has to be called upon to be the driving force of the whole team, that's when sometimes maybe the pressure gets to him. But
I would ask Harry, so it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this. Like, is that a fan's perspective though? Is it because when Marcondes is on the pitch, we go, well, he can create for us. But if he's not there, is it that Jono is we just expect him to do more? He still plays the same game. It's just he is not getting all the eyes on him. Because if he lines up in a midfield too with Jimmy Jaguar as he did at points, or Dylan Levitt, but he's playing as the more advanced midfielder of the two, you all of a sudden expect something from Jono that he's probably not really shown on any form of consistent basis in his Hibs career that he can do in terms of goals and assists. You know what I mean? Like, do you actually think his performances do drop off, or do you think we look at it in a different way?
I don't know. As I've said before, whenever we've been overly high on John Yu, I've always kind of tempered the fact that I'd put it down to inconsistency. But maybe it is less to do with inconsistency of John Yu and kind of the inconsistency of the team around him as well.
Mm,
Because I do think quite often when he goes through a good patch that we're seeing at the moment, it is when it's like consistently the same team. But as soon as you get a couple knocks or someone falls out the team, that is when he probably tends
yeah,
to falter a bit. But I think John Yo's always just going to kind of be this hot and cold player that'll divide the fan base,
I
though,
just think like, and just
for
if
whatever reason.
it's something I've been thinking about. Like, how often do you see a player that you think is a standout at another club, and then they move up the food chain, be it to Hibs or in any league in the world, and they just don't do it? It's just not there, and I think that's because at a certain level, they are head and shoulders above. But then you go to a team where maybe you do have 6 or 7 Joe Newells, who you're like, oh, actually, he's just a bit average. You know what I mean? Like, because, and I think I think truthfully, I think because a lot of the fan base love Jono so much, there is an expectation on his performance level, maybe from those that don't quite have the same love affair for him as well. So when he does ever just dip a little bit below that, it's like the end of the world.
But one other comment from GGTTH I thought was very good. He needs to get a more unique username on Twitter because all of us like to say GGTTH. He said, I didn't feel threatened at all with Ross County. When we had boggy wins in December, I felt a lot of pressure, especially the last 10 minutes, and felt like Hibs just panicked and never threatened teams after the 60-minute mark. So we're definitely improving. It was the same at the Hearts game. I think that's so true. It's something that as soon as I read that, I was like, you know what, that is spot on.
Yeah.
Like normally, as soon as it hits, like it's like someone hits a button and it's like, okay, guys, we have to pack the bags in and just hope that we can soak up the pressure and not lose.
I'll tell
Whereas
you
at
who
the
presses the
weekend,
button.
who? Oh, your man Montgomery. Hey, leave my man alone. But yeah, no, I think like as you say though, like his game management, like it has been something that he's needed to improve. And I think that the last couple of games, I know you disagree with the sub at Hearts. I've tried to justify what I think is actually an okay decision. We even see him do something similar today. Today, sorry, on Saturday, bringing on Triantis in a similar role again. I think that was intentional. So I think as time goes on, that sub will look less strange than it was at the time. So yeah, I think it's something that he's felt the need to improve. Whether that whole Barney that happened has led to what we're seeing now, I think it's whatever that was. If that's to be true, I think that was one of the most positive because since then we've just looked like a
Absolutely.
different team. So
I think that myself and others in the games on Twitter, on podcasts, wherever, we were quick enough to say that in December we beat Aberdeen and Livingston without playing well. And then when results turned poorly, we said, we've not played well for X amount of games or whatever. So that's, I think, why now it's not that I have to accept it. I'm glad that we have, but that's why I'm looking at it now and going, well, we are 5 unbeaten. And in my opinion, if I judge by the same metrics that I did when we won games by playing poorly, we could quite conceivably be winning here, sitting here with 6 wins in a row. Because I think deserves not the right word because you don't score the goals, but we should have beat Celtic. We then beat Inverness. You know what I mean? Like we should have. Who did we play after that? Sorry. I'm all over the place, but we should have beat the games that we didn't win. We should have beat
yeah, yeah.
Celtic, we should have beat Aberdeen, and we should have beat Hearts. Based on performances, based on chances. Perhaps the Aberdeen one's probably the only one that's a little bit contentious, but we should have had a penalty, which would have put us 2-1 up in the first half as well. So the game's totally different. But we definitely should have beat Hearts and we definitely should have beat Celtic. So I think you should be sitting here with at least 4 more points. And I can say that in the knowledge that I said we got away with it against Aberdeen at Easter Road. We got away with it at Livingston. We got away with it at home at Kilmarnock. You know what I mean? Like, so using the exact same measuring stick, we should be 6 games in a row winning, and the manager deserves credit for that. Be it that he caused the Barney, the players caused the Barney, whatever. We can't pretend to know anything about it, and it might be a lot of shit, but post St Mirren, something's changed, and the team looks night and day from that St Mirren game. Absolutely night and day.
100%. And speaking of getting win streaks together, I love my seamless transitions. Let's see if we can put two together as we host Rangers. And you know what? I'm gonna do this differently. Instead of doing our usual form, I'm going to start with a question. So Aki sent in a question saying, "Is this the best time to play one of the Glasgow two in the Cup at home after an away trip to Europe and after a league loss at home for them?" So do you think that is everything fallen into place now for us to have an ideal timing to meet Rangers at home?
I would probably suggest that after them losing is the least favourable time to play them. However, after an away European tie, absolutely. I think if you're looking to play and at home, that's I think that's all you can ask for. Rangers, look, they should have beat Motherwell the weekend. They had enough chances to beat them, but it's not that they didn't play poorly. Like they have been flying under the new manager. So as soon as the draw was made, I think the first thing I done, I looked at the Europa League fixtures, seen that it was, like they would have a game on the Thursday night because they weren't in the playoff round thing, because they won their group. And I think I said to you guys almost straight away, I was like, right, the game will be on the Sunday. They're playing on the Thursday night, and I thought that was a good thing. I think you have to be able to take these small percentiles and use them in your favor. We will have what 7 days rest, or 6 days rest between Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So
8 days,
8 days, 8 days of
we
rest,
got our numbers going. We got our numbers going.
and you've got to use that to your advantage. Rangers probably won't get home until the early hours of Friday morning, so you're lucky if they'll have a day's training. If that, like, they might train on Saturday. Like, they have been rotating their team massively. Sportsound have been talking about a lot that they've, the manager's made more changes to their 11 by a country mile than any other team has, since he came in. And look, we talk about our squad. I'm sure Rangers fans will be pretty comfortable with their squad. They have been going well up until the weekend. But sorry, I've rabbled for about 5 minutes. But to answer the question, yes. Yes.
And yeah, and then I'd agree as well. I think
I like to try and give some context, but sometimes I need
no,
to.
of course. Sometimes context turns into the New Testament for you. But Luke Cunningham sent in, does Levitt start against Rangers on Sunday, or do we start with the same 11 from the last couple of games and have Levitt come off the bench and make an impact like he did Saturday? I'll kick off with this one. So for me, kind of touching on what you said there, I can't think of a better word for it. I want our team to be as leggy as possible. I want to just have energy and to just hit them and run at them and
You
run
need to
over
look up
them
the
for the first.
definition of leggy.
I know it's the opposite, isn't it? But I just want legs in the team.
Aye.
I just want energy. I just want to run at them. I just want them to feel exhausted as soon as the game starts. So for me personally, I think that the best striking option, to do that, being honest, is Le Fondre. I think that although Venti does track players well, I don't think that he's as fast and pressing. I think that Le Fondre, despite his age, is really quick and he's got a really fast burst when he's
Yeah.
chasing down players. So for me, for that reason alone, I think our best midfield for that would be Newell and Mariah Welsh. I think that Marcondes, I know he's not known for his speed, but I feel that we just have to have that quality in there when we're playing against a team like Rangers.
Yeah.
So for me, the only change I would make from the starting 11, I don't know if it sounds ridiculously controversial for how much I love the boy, but I'd have Le Fondre in instead of
Totally
Venti.
agree. Totally agree. I think I did a message you maybe after the game on Saturday.
I think you put it in the group chat, yeah.
I don't know if I agree that, Le Fondre would give us more energy, but I do agree that, over 10 yards, he probably, if it was over the 40-yard dash, like I
Yeah.
said earlier, he probably has a better time. But the one thing is, does Le Fondre have 60 minutes in him? Does he? But regardless of that, I would just look at it and go, I think that if a chance falls to one of the two of them in the box, who do I back to score? And I back Adam Le Fondre. Dylan Venti again on Saturday, just, what's he doing? Dummying the ball 6 yards out, man. Like, score a fucking goal. Like, if a chance falls to someone in the box, anyone in our team, I would back Adam Le Fondre to score. So I would start him because I don't think we're going to have masses of chances. And I totally agree with what you said about Marcondes. We won't dominate the ball. So when we have it, we need to have quality and we need to be able to be composed on it. And again, he probably didn't have his best game at the weekend. He is our best player on the ball. So when we have the ball, find him and let him do something with it.
And I don't know how to phrase this without sounding like I think he's got ulterior motives, but realistically, I think most of us accepted the fact that Marcondes is above the level of Scottish football. So for me, the games that you're wanting to put yourself in the shop window are the Derby, which he got himself a goal. Celtic had a really good game, and Rangers in a cup that's going to be on TV. Like, you look confused if I said the wrong thing. Who knows? You can
No,
correct
no,
me in a
no. I
second.
think no. Did he play against? No, he must have played against Celtic because he
I thought
played
he did.
against. No, because he came on for his debut against Rangers, which was before,
Aye.
so he must have. No, he must have. I can't. No,
I'm
sometimes
second
you just
guessing.
can't.
I
No, I
thought it
think
was one of
you're.
those,
No, you're
because I'm
right.
sure
We
he had a
played.
good game, and after the game we were like, "Oh, he was so good." I might be tripping. I might be getting that
No,
confused with a
he
different game,
must not. I think he
because he
must have
definitely
played.
played well against St Mirren, despite the fact we were rubbish.
because he played against Kilmarnock, which was before Celtic, so he was definitely in the squad. He was definitely. I just don't know if he played against. Do you know, like sometimes you just can't visualize something. I can't visualize
Aye.
him against Celtic, but I know he made his debut against Rangers in the league, and he looked good. And I agree with Harry. I've I normally am one that thinks, oh, can we try and do this? Can we try and do that in terms of tying them down and stuff? But Liam's absolutely correct. Just enjoy the spell of having players like Marcondes and Miley done. Do you know what? Instead of stressing about whether we're going to sign them permanently or not, see if you are going to look ahead to the summer, just think positively and think if they're the type of players we're able to bring in a January window, and I know I've just sort of criticised them, but people are pretty positive about the quality of Dylan Venti. People are positive about the quality of Ellie Yuan, who we made permanent in the summer. People are positive about Dylan Levitt. Well, look at it that way and go, look, if we can attract them in a January window, if we can attract them in the summer, then what is the standard of player we're going to sign in the summer? But let's not write off the next couple of months by doing that. And let's enjoy having these players that we have currently. And hopefully we can have a really strong end to the season. And, a win on Saturday would go a long way towards that. Because do you know what? If we were able to knock off Rangers on Sunday, sorry, then anyone can win this trophy. And why not Hibs? Rangers are the
And
best. Regardless, I think Rangers are the best team that are left in the competition. If we put them out, then that shows to me we've got more than enough to win the competition.
And just to confirm, everybody that has been scrambling onto Google, Ewan's recall should still be unquestioned. And did check, wasn't in the squad. I
Oh,
think that was a
really?
game that he was out ill. So yes, well done, Ewan, for calling me out on my
I
bullshit. I
didn't
thought for
even
some
mean it,
reason,
mate. Like,
I know, I know, I thought for some reason he had a good game that
he
game. I don't
played
know what
well
I'm
against
thinking of.
Rangers
It
coming
might
up.
have been Mariah Welsh because I think Mariah Welsh had
Yeah,
a
no,
good game. So I
Mariah
maybe
Welsh had
getting
a
two of
really
them
good game.
confused as new players. But yeah, apologies, guys, for being an umpty.
Mariah
But
Welsh made
anyway,
his first start against Celtic, I think. And he came off the bench maybe against Kelly, or yeah, but he did have a very good game. Do you know what? I just couldn't
um,
picture it. I couldn't,
yeah.
I couldn't see it. Like, but get up, yeah. Sorry.
No, mate. I love to be called out when I'm a stupid spec area.
Don't even mean it.
But yeah, I think I don't want to sound pessimistic, but there's a lot of things that need to go in your favour for when you play a team like Rangers at home. If you're going to win the game, it needs to be a relatively, especially like if one of the two Old Firm teams are on, I know they got beat off Motherwell, but I think they'd won 13 league games in a row for the first
Oh
time
yeah,
since
it
the
was so
90s.
stupid.
Ridiculous. Just don't really see it. So for us to win, I think it's fair to say we do need to go at them a bit. The thing is with Motherwell, I think they ended up with like 9 shots at goal, which you don't typically see from a team going to Ibrox when they're in good form. So I think we do need to be brave enough to actually trust the defenders to defend and ensure we have enough people forward to actually make attacks happen.
Oh.
But rolling with the punches is something that we'll have to do as well.
I think you've got yeah. Ex as a fan, as a team, accept that you are going to have sustained periods of pressure. Accept that if we try to play out from the back, we might lose it a couple of times. We might knock into midfield and they nick it and it creates a chance. And like we said, you need to ride your luck, but let's just hope that we have a go. I, I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter if you lose 5-0 or you lose 1-0 because it's a club game because momentum is a massive thing as well. Like don't like if we get beat 5-0 or something like it absolutely would fucking matter compared to if it was 1-0 or whatever. But go and have a go. Go and try and create chances. Go and start strong in the game. We started pretty well against them in the league. Ellie Yuan had a good chance inside a couple of minutes. Like we actually played pretty well, actually, against them. We went in 2-0 down, but I think we were all in agreement that Hibs had played pretty well and they actually just scored two good goals. Like Cantwell and was it the fullback that scored? Maybe I can't mind. But
Well, you're right. Yeah,
um,
Henderson.
but I think why not? Like that team to me can beat anyone in this league. That Hibs team playing 1 to 11, be it Lafondra or Venti. If they play the way they played against Hearts, now I know Rangers are a different opposition to Hearts, but if they can go into that sort of atmosphere at Tynecastle and impose themselves on a game and create the chances that they did, then why can't they do that at home, albeit against probably a better opposition as well? That's what I would ask. And I would look at that team and think, am I leader? A Marcondes, they're going to thrive in that scenario. You're exactly right, Harry, about sort of shop windows and stuff, but they've played at a higher level than fucking Hibs Rangers. I'm not being funny. Like Marcondes has scored goals to send Bournemouth to the Premier League. Whether we like it or not, that game is one of the biggest games in the fucking world in terms of what goes attached with it. And he scored in that at Wembley. I thought I was going to say in front of however many thousand, but I think it might be the COVID. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't see why Hibs can't win this game. Will it be difficult? Of course it will. Will we have to ride our luck? Absolutely. But we've done it before. Like,
And give me the prediction, you and go for it.
eh, 2-0 Hibs.
2-0 Cabbage. I'm going to go for a cheeky wee 3-1 after extra time, 1-1 full time.
Right,
I get a
okay.
goal in the first half of first half of extra time, and then we'll score a cheeky wee breakaway winner at the very end, make it 3-1.
Two goals in
Aye,
extra
beautiful,
time.
mate. Beautiful. Yuan's getting the last goal as well. He's getting number 3. I don't know who's getting the first 2, but he's getting number 3.
Is he playing 120 minutes or is he just
Oh
getting
no. He's coming off. He's coming off the bench at 90 minutes when we've got our extra 6th sub.
Oh,
Perfect.
do you get is that a thing? Do you get an
I
extra
think it
sub?
should be. It's a thing
I
in
think you're
Football
right.
Manager. I don't know if it's a thing in real life.
No, I think that does ring a bell. That does ring a bell. If you've made your 5 subs in the 90 minutes, I think you do get a 6th one for extra time, which is mental. So you could change more than 50% your start. That's crazy. Just go back to 7 subs and like 3 subs and 7 on the bench, man. Fucking hell. Like,
Or I've seen people say do it so that you can only play like an under 20 player from Scotland, which I think's fair enough because then at least it's trying to like find a way to integrate youth into the
there
team.
used to be
But
a rule like that. Sorry, there used to be a rule about you had to have a
certain volume of domestic
whether
players or something.
yeah, it was to do with age as well though. It would have been around about the time that I want to say like Riordan and that were coming through, like Tony Mowbray's first spell. Um, I can't remember what it was. Maybe on like an open goal interview with someone that they were talking about, and that's like sort of how a lot of them got their chance because they had to have like a youth player, like a Scottish youth player on the bench or something. Anyway, totally irrelevant, total different rant. But I think that Hibs are going to win Sunday. Mainly because
On
we've
the
been winding up.
highs.
Mainly because we've been winding up our Rangers supporting friends all day today, so it's got me right in the mood.
And just for context, if you're watching on Twitter, apologies to the guys that are streaming. If you remember the Rangers fan after they got beaten the first Old Firm game of the season, being like, you. He's actually one of our close friends, so he has been getting berated following Motherwell winning at Ibrox, so that's very good fun. But Ewan, we've done our predictions, done everything, but we thought because it's just two of us, we'll play a little game. So I'm going to do my best, Ewan, to catch you out. That's what I'm going to call this segment. It's the catch you out segment of the podcast. So everybody at home, you can play along as well. That's the beauty of this section. Essentially, I've got 5 different questions, and if I have the same answer to the questions as you, I win. If you
Okay.
get through the whole game and you don't name any of the same players that I have, then you win. And
Okay.
well, one manager as well.
We'll make it more difficult for the listeners as well. They have to avoid either of our answers.
Oh, for one of the questions, that's only just possible, but you'll
Right,
see as
okay.
we go through. So if you don't understand the game, screw you. I think I've explained it relatively well. So essentially, 5 questions. Avoid having the same answer as me. I've got a select answer that is written on my screen in front of me. I don't have any way to prove it's true, but it is true. Just
And
trust me.
I don't have any ideas before if I get through this. I don't want any accusations, but the chances are I won't because I have seen this trend on TikTok. I have tried this to, and I rarely get through it. So we shall see.
Yeah, no, me and you and the Harry Potter ones, we'll get that out of the way whilst Liam's not on. But yes, anyway, okay. 5 Hibs related questions, Ewan. Are you ready?
I am. How quick do
Okay.
you want me to answer? Like,
So I would say I'll give you a 5 second in my head. No, I don't
are
want
you
to be
going to
going
read
for
yours out?
no. So you read yours out and I'll tell you
Yeah.
if you've got a
Okay.
different answer to me and I'll confirm my answer. Okay.
Smashing. Yep.
Okay. So I want you to name me a Hibs captain. Just a person that's not just put the armband on for a game, but an actual captain at the club. Okay.
Okay. Jono.
3. I had Rob Jones.
I knew
Rob
you would have
Jones.
Rob
I
Jones.
know.
That's where my
See,
head
that's
went
that's
straight
what I'm
away.
exactly. That's why I went for it. It's okay. Okay. So Ewan passes stage 1. Stage 2. Name a player who has had a 20 goal season across all competitions. Across all competitions. So it doesn't just have to be 20 plus league goals. 20 goals in a season.
Jason
2.
Cummins.
Oh, at the championship season, he definitely has done that, hasn't he?
Surely. Surely.
Aye. Yeah, you know, double check that to make sure he's not disqualified from the game.
Guessing
I
you
went
never
for the
said Jason
obvious shout
Cummins.
there. I went Lee Griffiths. I think he's probably the first one again that'll sprung to mind. So I reckon I've caught a few of you guys out with this
Surely
segment so
Jason,
far.
let's see. Surely Jason Cummins scored 20 goals, and I'm thinking like first season in the championship
Mm.
is where I'm thinking here. Fuck.
Because he definitely hit like 11, was it, in the Premier League towards the end? No, I'm talking nonsense. He did score a few,
Uh,
but
what season was first season in the championship? 15, 16. He scored 20 goals. He scored 2 in the Scottish Cup and
you
18
snuck
in the
in.
league.
You
Oh no,
snuck
he
in.
scored 4. Oh no, he scored 20, 25 in all
Oh,
counts.
how much did he get the season before? Just so I don't feel too stupid.
2, because that was in
Two.
the
Oh,
that
not
was he
11.
minded
Like played like
he
it.
scored
Yeah.
in the 2 playoffs, mind.
Oh yeah, what a guy. I just keep talking. Random thoughts keep coming into my head, and I keep getting wrong. Okay, so
He
next
also
one.
got 20 odd the following seasons. That's fine.
Next one. Just a player who's won a cup. Just any
Well, there's
any
a
Hibs
few
player
options. Right,
that
okay.
has won a cup. So you got a few options. Like, see, the thing is, I might be trying to trick you here. I might be going back to the Skull
Uh,
Cup days. I might be going back to the what you got,
mate,
1902.
stop
Who knows?
talking.
Who knows? Okay, so you're in three,
I've got a plan.
2, 1.
Dylan McGeoch, because you fucking hate him. There's no way you picked him.
I don't hate Dylan McGee. I think he's overrated. Anyway, I picked Lewis Stevenson. As soon as you hear Cup winner Hibs, you think Lewis Stevenson. I've definitely caught some of you out playing that one there. All right, next one. A manager who has won a game at Ibrox. We're playing Rangers this weekend. A manager who
Oh,
has coached a win at Ibrox.
there's one that comes to mind straight away, but I think you might be trying to be techie and go there, so I'm going to change it. Right, Tony Mowbray.
Ooh, I went Neil Lennon. Neil Lennon.
I was going to say Tony. Oh, did you? That's fair. I was actually the first one that came in my head was Colin Calderwood.
Oh yeah, for the was
Yeah,
it
3
Franz Dick
0.
was winning? Who scored the goals that game?
Francis Dicko, John Rankin, and did Liam Miller score?
I think it was Liam. I had Liam Miller in my head as well, but I've dropped it through the clanger, so probably not. All right, so you've made it through to the final stage.
Pressure.
Just to warn you, I think there's only 4 players
Right,
that
okay.
are in this category for them. It might be 5. But name a Hibs player who has scored 5 or more goals this season. A Hibs player who's scored 5 or more goals this season.
Okay. I will go for Ellie Yuan.
Boom, we've caught him final round, boys.
Oh,
Had
fuck
Ellie
off! Can I
And there
guess?
you
Right,
go.
so
Yeah.
am I allowed? Right, so Ellie Yuan,
Yep.
Dylan Venti,
Yep. I can't
Martin
remember the
Boyle.
others. I was good. Yep. I think Martin Boyle's one. There was one more as well.
Um, has my leader scored 5 or is he on 4?
Nah, he's not yet.
Is he on 4?
You keep rambling just now because I'm going to Google it.
Adam Lafondra got 3 in the league. I think he scored in the cups. Did Deutsch get 5? Deutsch might have got 5.
Oh wait. So you've said Dylan Vente,
Dylan Venti, Martin Boyle, Ellie
Ellie
Yuan.
Yuan. There's actually only one more that you've not
Is it
said.
Deutsch?
No, it was Josh Campbell.
Is he on 5? Is he?
Yeah, Josh Campbell got 5 for
Oh,
Rangers. I'm not sure if that's all
it will be all
competitions or if
comps.
it's aye. That's BBC website, so I can't be wrong there. So yeah, let us know how you got on with Catch You Out. If you enjoyed it, it's a segment we can definitely bring back. I enjoyed it.
I certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, if we can try and find a way to cut it down for Twitter and socials, we might be able to try and get you guys playing on that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Ian, been a pleasure as always, my friend.
It has indeed, mate. It's been a very enjoyable whatever. I don't know if I don't think we've quite hit the hour mark, but it's been enjoyable being a Hibs fan for the last sort of 10 days or so, which has been a nice change. And it's fantastic to be going into such a difficult game with some optimism. You know, I think when the draw was made, people decided to write off the season, maybe us included. But why the fuck not? Eh? Why not Hibs? Why
And
not?
hopefully, come Monday, we'll be telling you all about our Hampton bus that we'll be running as always. So, fingers crossed,
Oh,
lads.
buddy, here
Fingers
we go.
crossed.
Here we go. Please, please,
Oh, come on, the
on a
Habs.
cabbage. Cheers.
Bye.